Hey guys, Tim here, out in the garage. Nice cool evening out here, and just figured I'd come out here and just run something by you guys. So in the last week or two, I've asked you, maybe if I'm not keeping you interested, and what would you like to see, and what would you like me to do, and got a lot of good positive feedback from a lot of you guys, and I really appreciate it, and girls, and which is keep doing what you're doing, and we're enjoying what you're doing, and it's okay, to do the weird shit that you're doing. So, and I was thinking about it tonight, and I thought that's exactly what I've always done because I am definitely a nonconformist. Um, I don't work well for others. I don't take orders very well from others. So that's probably why I don't do a bunch of model contests. I haven't been to a model contest in probably 25 years. Um, I like to make people happy. I don't like seeing people's feelings get hurt. Contests always seem to do that, bring out the worst in a lot of people and hurt feelings. And not all of them, but I saw it a lot back in the day, over nothing. And when it comes down to it, everybody's doing what they like and doing some really good work. And I've just always kind of marched to the beat of a different drum. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. My entire life, I can tell you, since I was a kid, this has been following me around. And Rat Fink, Ed Roth, started out with me with gumball machine toys, Rat Finks. I loved them, and my cousins loved them. My cousins Carol and Lisa and I would go get them at one of the local stores out of the gum machines, and we had tons of them, and we made little houses for them out of shoe boxes and put little pieces of carpet in there and made little furniture, and I rode them around in my Hot Wheels and stuff. So that was the beginning for me of that love affair with Rat Fink. And I didn't really know about Ed Roth back then because I was too young. But one of the first model kits I got that I built on my own, was able to build on my own, was Mr. Gasser. And I think it was one of the later issues of it. I'm trying to remember the box art, but I remember building it, and didn't paint it a whole lot, but I did build it, and I just loved it. A monster and a hot rod, And then probably when I was about 9 or 10, I had an older cousin, Donnie, who babysat for me, and at the time he was probably getting to be more high school age, and he was really good at sports, baseball and basketball. He was really tall, and but he had been doing the model car thing and painting stuff and building models, and he was building a lot of those monster kits back in the day, but it was those early Lindbergh kits and some of the early Roth kits. So he came to the house one day and brought this just gigantic box of models and magazines, and he's like, "You can have all this stuff. I don't want it anymore." And so I dove into this stuff and started digging it all out, and it was a lot of those early glow kits that Lindbergh did, with the monsters. I can't remember all of them right offhand, but like the one dude in the wheelbarrow and stuff. There's just those funky kits, and then there were some Roth kits in there. And a lot of the stuff, the pieces had broken off and stuff, so I glued them all back together and patched them up. And then there was this pile of Hot Rod magazines, and like Rod and Custom and Hot Rod. And in those magazines, of course, were those Roth ads for the Roth Studios, those t-shirt ads. And I started looking at that artwork, and I was like, oh man, this is great. And my parents and I we'd been coming to Florida every year. My parents bought our first house in Florida, I think probably about 1966, 67. We didn't move down here permanently until 1972, but moved to Daytona Beach. A lot going on then, in the 70s, and 60s and 70s, including the whole airbrush thing. And my now friend Henry Gerson was one of the founders of the original Rat's Hole T-shirt shop, which was at 801 Main Street. And So when we moved down, well, when we come down on vacation, the highlight of the trip for me was getting one of those shirts, those Monster in a Car shirts, and getting it airbrushed on Main Street. That was like the epitome of the trip for me, getting one of those T-shirts. I love the smell of that place, the airbrush paints that they were using back then. Of course, shit's probably lethal. But I love going in there, and black lights, and the airbrush artists were in the windows so you could watch them from the street, and they had all this crazy stuff inside, and gags, and it was just the coolest place back then. And so when we moved to Florida permanently in '72, I became a regular hanger-outer at that place. Henry was long gone by then. I think he left after the first year or two. The store was open, and I think it opened in like '65 or '67, something like that. But Henry beat it, I think, for California at that time, and was doing his own thing, and has done, obviously, he's still airbrushing, still painting beautifully. All these years later, he's just such a good artist. And but I hung around there, and I swept floors, and I hung out, and I talked to the artists, and that just got me going. And my dad had already bought me my first airbrush, which was a Binks Wren, which is a total piece of shit. But it was single action. That's what we had back then. And so that would take me to the next. I'm sharing these books with you guys. So that Ed Roth book, you can still find that one here. This is a tough one to find. This is Von Franco's book, also came out on CD. I was a teenage monster shirt painter, and Franco's story just absolutely, of course he's older than I am, and he's 10 years, 15 years ahead of me, but this was me. I mean, he got his first airbrush, also a Binks Wren, complete piece of shit. He fucked up one of his neighbor kids' brand new sweatshirts by painting it, and mom was pissed. He got in trouble for it, and he wrestled with that gun like I did mine, and he got so mad at his he just threw it away. But I used that Binks Wren, struggled to paint stuff, and back then I was just doing a lot of stencil work. I was cutting out my own stencils using magazine illustrations, and airbrushing on skateboards. And then, of course, when we moved to Florida, I was just trying to airbrush on anything I could, T-shirts and surfboards and skateboards and skimboards and anything I could get my hands on. I was trying to paint different stuff. And cans, whatever, I was painting all over the place. And saw one of my first candy gradient paint jobs on an old Schwinn bicycle frame. My old friend Bobby Snyder had it sitting in his garage, and I'd gone over to his house. He goes, "Oh, check out this bike frame." And I was just, oh my God, I thought it was the coolest thing I ever seen. I tried everything to get it away from him, and he wouldn't get rid of it, and it had the cool little starbursts on there, pinstripe starbursts and stuff. And I thought, that's what I want to do. And back then you could buy those candy paints in rattle cans. So I started blowing bicycles apart and picking up old bike frames and stuff, and I started doing those fade paint jobs with rattle cans, like blue to green to red. And then I had a guy move in across the street from me. They had one of those Porsche 917 kit cars on the Volkswagen chassis. That was all airbrushed in different candies, fades, green to purple to blue. I have a picture of it I'll dig up and show you guys sometime. And I helped him work on that car. And then I had another neighbor who I helped customize his van, because I was small enough to get in all those little nooks and crannies and pull wires, which is what I did on that Porsche too. But just getting a ride in it, be in that car, and it was just it was sitting across the street all the time. So I was just looking at it and messing with it all the time. So all this stuff just kind of fueled me along. And I've always kind of stuck with that. I copied a lot of artwork from back in the day, all those t-shirt art designs and stuff, and kept up with all that stuff. And over the years, I've been lucky. My first wife worked at the Rat's Hole t-shirt shop back in the 80s for Carl Smith. So I was around there. I was around those people. Again, at another part of my life, before we started having children, or had my daughter Ashley. And then, stepped away for a while, and then got back into it later, into the model building and everything else. I was still painting mostly on RC car. I painted dozens and dozens of RC car bodies and slot car bodies for people. I did a ton of that, and I was airbrushing then. And of course, I'd stepped up I was using the Pache, the VL. I'd gone back to college because I was having big frustrations with the airbrush. So I went back to school and I took an airbrush course from another longtime friend and mentor of mine, Steve Marsh, late Steve Marsh now. We lost him several years ago. He was a great guy, really worked with me, helped me improve my artwork dramatically back in the day. And this was back in probably 81, maybe 82. But that going back to school and learning all those basics again with the airbrush and redoing everything, my mentality and how to do things with the airbrush really improved my painting techniques and stuff a lot. And then over the years, wasn't too many years after that, I got to be friends with Tom Daniel, who grew up building all those model kits, was heavily influenced by his artwork and his designs, and got to be friends with Tom way back in the day, and always inspired by his work. And he's such a good, not just his car art that he did back in the day and his design, but he's just such a good, beautiful professional artist and does great portrait art, or not portrait, but landscapes and trains and planes, and just really, really good all-around artist. And then probably the next phase was meeting Sonny De Palma back in the 80s, and Sonny changed my life. He became my mentor and my good friend, who I dearly miss. And he's been gone for almost 12 years, and it just seems like yesterday, but he helped me so much. And that against the grain mentality, I think, that I've always had, you know, he always would tell me, don't do what everybody else is doing. Don't do what I do. Do your own thing. And every time you do it, you need to one-up yourself. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing and doing it better than they are. It's just bullshit, you know. Do your own stuff, you know. And he used to always tell me, even with his work, he'd say, "Oh, my stuff is shit," you know. Don't, you know. And, but of course, his work was, you know, off the charts. But so this really just really got me thinking about, you know, asking you guys what you want to see. And it's, if you're not seeing what you want to see by now, then you're probably not going to be happy staying here with me, because I'm not going to change, and you're going to continue to see weird monster figures and weird cars and boats and cars with giant motors in them and creatures, and crazy books and crazy collectibles, whether it's ceramics or models or tikis or whatever, some weird antiques. So you're just going to, hopefully I can continue to just show you guys. I got enough crap to last a lifetime in this house and in this garage. So, but this, for me, this is what it's all about. Custom culture. You know, that's it. This has been it all along. And this is the basis for all of that. And this goes back to Von Dutch. Love his striping work. Love that he was a maker and a builder. Don't love his mentality as far as his moral mentality. Not my thing, but I didn't know him. But I do know Franco, who was friends with him, and Roth. Roth drove me, you know, all those cars, all that artwork, which of course a lot of that artwork was Ed Newton through the Roth Studios, those t-shirts, and a horde of other people. I mean, there's Johnny Ace. I know there's dozens of people out there that worked at Roth Studios that did artwork and did everything with Ed, for Ed, whatever, and Franco, who brought Ed back into the car culture and till the end of his life, and got him motivated to get out there again and go to car shows and paint shirts and paint things, and then get back into the whole scene again. So that was a lot. And then there's other people. Just crazy shit. I like, you know, Billy Lane. Love his bikes. All off the wall. Against the grain. Don't run half the time, or you know, he always had. I always loved that on Biker Build Off because his bikes broke down. Indian Larry, big Rat Fink fan. Killer bikes, same thing. Did his own thing. I mean, he had certain things that he did, his trademarks. Knew what he liked. He stuck with it to the end. Jesse James. Another person I like who went from just being a welder, still calls himself a welder, because I'm you know, he continually says I'm just a welder, but smart, became a gazillionaire, you know, over sticking to his guns, you know, and doing what he liked. And he set the trend, you know, back in the day, 25 years ago, with his bikes, and brought choppers back. Choppers were, you know, still around, but not like what happened back then with the wide tire bikes and the big engine bikes. And, you know, he turned everything back around and brought that back, and it's still here. I'm seeing it right now. Bike week this week, there's choppers everywhere. I'm sitting at the stoplight tonight by the biker bar down by my office, just gorgeous choppers. I mean, I love the paint, I love the designs, just so many different ones, you know, and that's the stuff that drives me, and it's going to continue to drive me. So I'm a painter, I'm a builder, and it's not just models. You know, I build other stuff, you know, out of wood, or not always great stuff, but I've built a lot of stuff over the years, and I'm a maker. You know, that's what I like doing. So I'm going to continue doing that as long as I can. And my good friend Randy Newbert just recently said to me, because, you know, I was thinking about it not too long ago, and he goes, I told my wife, I'm going to keep building models as long as my hands keep working and I'm able to build models. Damn it, I'm going to just build till I'm dead. And I told him, I said, yeah, I like that. That's a good mentality, you know. And yeah, I'm accumulating all this shit. And my buddy Day Choi and I have talked about this, because I was thinning stuff out. I have thinned stuff out, and there's a lot of kits I'll probably never get to. So yeah, I'm just sell some stuff, give some stuff away. But I'm going to keep doing it until I die, and then I'm going to let my kids worry about it. So I'm just going to keep filling up the spaces and let them enjoy it, or sell it and make money on it, or whatever they want to, or have an auction, whatever everybody decides to do. But while I'm still here and kicking, and I'm still able to hold the airbrush, and I'm still able to paint and build models and make things, and by golly, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm glad all of you are here, and I appreciate it. I'm up to, I think, about 1,165 subscribers, which really surprises me. But I'm really glad you're all here, and I appreciate the kind comments and the emails, and even got a card in the mail today. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I appreciate it. Nice people, and seem to like my work, and they get a kick out of it, and I hope all of you guys do, because that's why I'm here. So hang in there with me, and I will do my best to keep coming up with crazy shit to show you. And I appreciate you watching, and I'll talk to you again real soon. We're gonna get together, and we're gonna paint some more stuff, and we're gonna build some more stuff, because we got a long way to go. All right, thanks for coming by, and I'll see you probably again for maybe model cars and coffee this Sunday. All right, take it easy.